Hello, good afternoon, everybody. We are live here on Smart Money Culture TV, also Impact Live, as well as in Texas and Louisiana on your TVs. Of course, that's with Smart Culture, as well as LinkedIn, X, YouTube, you name it. So, interesting show that we have here going on. Of course, Henry Weingarten is going to join us for the second half of the show. We have a lot going on in the world right now. The stocks have gone up quite a bit in the little bit, and of course, Bitcoin is continuing its slide. As you can see now, this is just right off of the press here. Iran is moving missiles. Let me get over here. Sometimes I'll have this already loaded up, but this was so fresh that it just came in here. Thanks for Mach 6 for letting me know. Let's see here. Look at this. This is
همتون دیگه در خبر باشید منتها دوست بعدش
آره دیگه
اینجوری نشون نمیده نه دیگه
choice. Unfortunately, our lack of leadership, in my not so humble opinions, I always say, has led to this dangerous situation that we have over there, where everybody's just wanting to fight everybody. Who is Iran? Who are they repositioning those missiles for? Now, by a lot of reports, Iran has a lot of missiles. They have a lot of missiles. Okay. And so that's a very dangerous situation that we have going on over there. And of course, you can see, who are they going to attack? Are they going to use those missiles on Israel, or are they going to use those missiles on Pakistan? This is part of the larger, broader war that has been going on here for a while, and it's really unfortunate. You saw Pakistan respond very quickly the other day, very quickly. And that's a nuclear power, and who knows if I don't know. Nobody maybe knows, or some people obviously know, but if Iran is a nuclear power already or not, but they certainly do have a lot of going on now as well. NATO launches the biggest military exercise in a decade, involving about 90,000 personnel. Okay, now this is actually they put out a warning this morning. We were talking about it on the morning show. They put out a warning this morning about that the Europe should prepare for war in the next 20 years with Russia. I mean, what a funny thing to say, right? I mean, not funny at all, but Europe should prepare for war with Russia in the next 20 years. And then, of course, you have these 90,000 troops that are being positioned for, gosh knows what. So this has a little bit of music in the background, but a little ominous, which, of course, it is ominous. But you see here, we have the 90,000 troops. NATO troops.
All hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
That is not good to see. Let's watch that one more time.
Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
So there you go, guys. This beating of the chest, okay, is going to get a lot of men dead and women dead. It's going to be it can be absolutely horrible. They say that war is perpetrated by old men, and they send young men in to die. Of course, I can probably be counted on the old men side at this point. I didn't end up going in the military for precisely these reasons. We were shooting up Nicaragua. Or Panama. We were shooting up Panama when I was 17, 18 years old. Came time for me to get in. My family has been part of the military since the beginning. Okay. And my father and my grandfather, we all sat there and I said, guys, I don't want to go do this. We're shooting up narco wars over there in Panama. And they said, yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to go either. I totally understand. And so I didn't go in. And, since then, what we have realized is that the banks, all these wars are bankers' wars. My father realized it back in Vietnam. He did 2 tours in Vietnam, and his second tour or his third tour, he actually signed up for again, and they lost his paperwork. And so in that time that they lost his paperwork, he had figured out what was going on, and that we weren't actually trying to win the war. And that, he was part of the long range reconnaissance patrol teams. And they would, go out there, long LRPs, as they were known, long range reconnaissance patrol. And 20 minutes. They would go out there and past hour. Hold on, I'm just sending that over to Henry, and he would know what was going on, and so he would see that the ammunitions and the stuff that was going to be used to kill him and his buddies the next day was coming in, and he said, all right, guys, we need to blow up this. We need to blow up this rail line. We need to blow this up right here, and then we're going to be able to stop these guys from having any ammunition in the battle tomorrow. And he was told that, that's not how we're doing it. And he didn't understand. You don't understand, sir. And you're right. He didn't understand. But then he started to understand. We weren't in Vietnam to win a war. We were in Vietnam to have a war. And these are bankers' wars. All wars are bankers' wars. And so his third tour, they lost the paperwork, and they came up to him and they said, hey, Bruce, Porter, we're both Bruce. And he's, we need you to fill out your paperwork again. He says, what do you mean? They said, well, we lost it. And he said, I have amnesia. And that was that. And that's how he got out of Vietnam. And, God bless all those guys. And he was shot. Grandpa was as well shot a couple of times there, 3 times actually, shrapnel to the head. Grandpa was one of the guys that stormed Normandy. He was shot twice. He was got some shrapnel in his head in Korea as well. They were going to send him back to Vietnam, and Dad thought this is ridiculous, and so he was 17. And he says, "Oh, I'll go in if you don't take Dad." And they said, "Okay, sure." And less than a year later, he was in Vietnam shooting them up. This war culture that we have going on is perpetrated, it's pushed by the central banks that are running the country. Let's talk about money here just a little bit. Not just a little bit. We talk about money all the time. I'm going to share my screen again here just to go over some of the... No, wrong one here. Let's go. Boom, boom. Let's go right here. So the markets, and let me just look as these missiles and everything are coming off, how we're still doing here. Okay, yeah, Dow is holding pretty steady at 100 points or so. Let me just share this one here. I put my post on here. It's Dow up over 100 points. It's 111 points right now. I can go ahead on that live view. 111. And that is, there's a big push of money, of fiat money that came into the market yesterday. And this is one of the things that we always talk about, that it's an election year and they are going to have a good economy come heck or high water. And that is, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold it. I don't think they're going to be able to hold it for very long, but they are going to do it for as much as possible. You can see here the S&P 500 as well. And this is, this is a high. You can look high at the S&P 500, up. We are looking at new highs on the S&P 500. And what that tells you is that your dollars are they're going down. They are inflating the money a lot, and that's how that's going. Of course, NASDAQ, almost the same. We have almost the same thing here. You look at the month, you look at the 6 month, everything's up. And we are as well looking at new highs, all-time high on the NASDAQ. Pretty crazy times. Of course, let's look at the pound. The USD to the pound has been an interesting one. Of course, we have Matt on every morning on our Money in the Morning show, the Impact Money in the Morning show. This, of course, is the Porter Brothers show. But the USD to pound, and Matt Dixon, who is part of the EVA crew, they use AI to predict different things. He says this is going to flip, and that the pound is going to go higher than the dollar. I mean, the dollar is going to go higher than the pound this year, which that's really going to be something else, because as bad as we're printing so much money, it's even worse over there. All the migration problems that we have, it's even, if you can believe it, I don't know if it's worse at this point. USD to the euro. Let's just come out a little bit. That's on the month. So, the thing about the currencies is they're inflating the currency so much as well. Everybody's doing it. The world, all the central banks around the world are doing this. And the central bank is the biggest scam out there. You really just, I was even just Googling around today, and it's like, it's so hidden who actually owns the central banks. And there's a group of families that actually own the central banks, and they're in control. And they're the reasons why we can fund these wars. But if you look around it, it is just totally hidden, and you're lied to, and there's a board of this and there's a board of that, and this is how it works. And all of these types of things. So I wanted to also show you what's going on. Of course, the thing we have in overseas, and actually before I get to that, let me get to gold and silver here. All right, so I am on this tab here. So if we look at gold has continued to rise. Now, here we are up about 0.25% today, but you can see we were even higher. Okay, and you take this one out to a year, 5 year max, and of course we're looking at all-time highs as well. It's interesting. That's the 5 day. It's interesting, and what they do with gold and silver. And silver, I can show you. Silver is down. Silver, especially, they are keeping the prices down with the derivatives markets. And actually, if you even look at this price I'm getting here, these are gold futures. But they're able to keep the price down with these derivatives markets. And in my opinion, silver remains a very, very good play, because I don't think it can get much lower than this. And then once they decide, you look at the 5 year up 50%, okay, almost 50%. Once they decide that they are going to push this, it's going to be like when Bitcoin hit, right? When Bitcoin hit, then you couldn't get any more for a lower price. So once they decide that gold is no longer a $2,000 per entity, but it is instead a $10,000. Well, then that's it. Now, of course, Bitcoin has continued to slide, even with these big guys buying in. A lot of this, the Bitcoin market is really as well controlled by derivatives, and that's paper. People trade the futures and everything else. But you can see even on the 6 month, it's still up 35%. On the 1 year, it's up 92%. I mean, almost 100% on the year. 5 year, of course, 1,000%. So pretty crazy. But you're going to continue to see that. We had a big run up. And of course, our friend Matt Dixon talked about it quite a bit. We're going to have Henry Weingarten here in a few minutes as well. He is as well predicting with astrology, which I think is pretty interesting. But, you know, these guys, and we did it as well. We expected kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news. The ETF was approved. These guys were pumping big money into Bitcoin to sell. You know what I mean? Obviously, they want to sell and they want to take some profit. So it's up quite a bit. I think right around this 40K range is give or take 1,000 or two, I would say. But 40K is probably where we get a hard bounce and continue up from here. The main thing is that you need capitulation. So you have a lot of longs in the market. You have people that are leverage trading, and they either want to liquidate those people or they want to scare those people out of the market where they close at a loss. And that's the way these platforms make their money, as well as trading fees. So you always want to keep that in mind. Now, I was going to show here this. Let me see here. Here we go, the Houthis. So the Houthis, and this is a pretty, this is, again, I think today, from what I understand, and this is big, guys, okay? Yemen has been, we've supplied Saudi Arabia with all types of different bombs and ammunitions and everything to fight with the Yemeni Houthis for, I think, decades. I mean, at least as long as I've been paying attention, which is at least a decade. And so these people, I mean, they are used to war. They're used to this happening. And bomb them and this and that and the other, and they don't, how much effect is it going to have? And you saw Joe Biden even I saw a clip on X. Let me see if I can pull that up. So, and he said, is it working? Is it working well? Is it working? Well, no. I mean, obviously, it's not really working, right? I mean, it's not stopping them from hitting the ships, from hitting the shipping lanes. And that is not coming up quickly here. Joe Biden. Anyway, so you have all of these people over there, and they are dead set on stopping these ships from getting to Israel. And, Israel, I don't want to get into so much of taking a side on this, but they're killing a lot of people over there. There's a lot of killing over there. And what we need to do is we need to bring people to the table. Just like in Ukraine and Russia, we're killing just hundreds of thousands of beautiful people, guys. It's beautiful people. Humans are beautiful creatures. And, we're made in the image of God, and we're supposed to really protect life, and we're supposed to protect life. And so I always push that. That's what we need to do. We need to help these people out. We need to bring them to the table, and by bringing them to the table to negotiate, we'll have a way forward. If we don't, then we are really in a mess, and they will negotiate. One side is not going to completely wipe the other out. Okay. And that's one of the main things as well. People need to keep in mind, you're not going to completely wipe the Palestinians out, and you're not going to completely wipe the Israelis out. And so at some point, they're going to need to come and negotiate, and we need to be that the big guys there and really help that out. And the same thing in Russia and Ukraine. I mean, this whole talk of NATO and preparing for war is crazy. So Nikki Haley has been busted. I guess this happened in 2010. She must have known this was going to happen. A fatal blow to Nikki Haley, ? A sworn affidavit from 2010 by Will Folks and Larry Marchant say that Nikki got busy in the back of a Cadillac SUV. So how do you think that will affect her presidential aspirations? I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't really think that Nikki has much of a chance anyway at becoming president, but, and I guess I'll pull that up just for people that some people just hopped on here. I'll pull that up again. Will that affect her? I don't think, to be honest, it's going to have that much of an effect. I think for the most part, it's sad that it's coming out. People are people. And life is long and families are important. And it's sad that we live in a society where stuff like that is used against people. I think that, in my personal opinion, that we should leave that stuff as much out of it as we possibly can. We saw back in the day, I'm old enough to remember when the Republicans were going after Clinton for his times there in the Oval Office, doing what every leader has done since the beginning of time, I'm sure. And that was what started this whole mess with the impeachments. You guys, everybody was upset that, or a lot of people are upset at all the impeachments that go on, and Trump getting impeached twice. But, it was the Republicans that really started the impeachments. And of course, they said it was impeachment because he lied or whatever else. But the reality was, I remember, man, we spent millions and millions and millions of dollars investigating Bill Clinton, who obviously always liked the women. And, that's where we got. So pretty, crazy times that we have here as well. We have the situation that nobody's really talking about at the moment. The war between China and Taiwan. And so we have China has always wanted, I've been to Taiwan. I don't know if you've ever been to Taiwan before, but China has always wanted Taiwan. Taiwan believes that they are the real Chinese, and China, of course, believes that they are the real legitimate Chinese government. And so it's this awkward stalemate that we have over there. And I just remember even being over there, and it was like, don't say the wrong thing because people will really get upset with you. And so, yeah, you want to be careful there. So let's see here. Some other news that's going on. I'm going to bring Henry in here at the half hour. I'm really looking forward to talking to him. The WEF, of course, is still going on. We played some clips this morning. I mean, it's really pretty funny, some of the stuff. What is this? They have this. I'll play this here. This is what they're calling entertainment. And I have, I've been going to go to the World Economic Forum for a number of times, but then it just doesn't really work out. I called this clip Pocahontas, but
no Cambarro Anuri, no Camai, no Camwacá, na Anuri, no Yuyuá, na Warron Chinambo, Panque, Tu Chinam, Chaval aqui, Chinamo Kikirani, Tsai, Chavakirani, Tsai, Makikirani. Awama,
all right, I'm going to mute her because I feel like she's like casting a spell on us or something. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take her off the screen because I feel like that. But that is they had another singer that was also equally as like, what in the world are they doing out there? Also, Disease X, big talk. Okay, big talk about Disease X, about the eating. They don't want people to eat burgers. I mean, burgers are bad. Steaks are bad. I mean, you're really bad if you're doing that. And then right before here, this is Trump. This is Trump on New Hampshire, and New Hampshire's coming up in a week. And he, of course, what's happening right now is the Democrats are coming in. It just happened in Iowa as well. And the Democrats are coming in and they're able to, on that day, change their status of who their vote of their party, and then vote in the primary. And so that's what he's expecting as well to happen in in New Hampshire.
Which they're going to vote for her because they don't want to run. So Democrats are allowed to vote, which they're going to vote for her because they don't want to run against me. They want to run against her. You know, it's a very simple system. We are leading Biden in every poll. Michigan just came out. We're leading by 11. Georgia just came out. We're leading by 13 points. We're leading everywhere now. And she's not. You know, she has one obsolete poll that she likes. She's about 2 months old, where she was leading Biden. Well, those days are gone. She's not leading Biden anymore. The problem is the Democrats want her to run desperately, so they have a lot of Democrats signing up in New Hampshire.
They're signing up in New Hampshire and able to vote, and they're able to vote. And that is how she was also able to get such a good showing in Iowa. There was reports that they had all of those different forms where people could come in and register that day, change their party affiliation, and vote in the primary. And they ran out of those forms quite a few times. So that is pretty interesting, and that's been going on since gosh only knows when, right? So that's going to continue here. Russia summons the French ambassador over alleged presence of French mercenaries in Ukraine. This is another quick video here. I'll show this, and then we'll get on to Henry Weingarten, who I'm very always pleasure to see what he has to say. Very interesting take. He charts with something extra that a lot of us don't use, and that's he uses astrology as well. All right, let me load this up here. Just so we have some stuff along with it here. So this is the French, if I'm correct here, French ambassador over Russia, over French mercenaries in Ukraine. So that is interesting. I wonder if that's the French Foreign Legion that they're talking about. Here, I'll play that one more time. There's the French Foreign Legion, very famous set of mercenaries. War is big business. I mean, you see these guys. It's very costly business, though. Very, very costly business. It costs us a lot of money in human lives. And so it's big money. You make a lot of money off of it, but it is a very, very costly business in human lives. And it's something that we all need to fight against. So I'm going to bring on now Henry Weingarten. Henry Weingarten, he's an amazing guy. And he is with the Astrologers Fund. Always has very interesting insight into everything. Henry, how are you?
We're doing well, thank you.
Very nice to see you. Thanks for coming on again. This is our afternoon show, which we just added. I know we did the early one last time.
Yes, this is much easier for me.
So how are things? I wanted to ask you, first of all, and I know we have some stuff that we want to go through, but there was that big influx, it looked like to me, of money that hit the market yesterday. So I wanted to get your take on that. What did you think on that? Well,
there's a couple of ways to look at this, and actually I was going to address that a little bit later. The markets are not really reflecting the economic reality. If we think about what they've been saying since January, was that the Fed was going to lower rates 6 times and basically buy bonds because they were going to be a good investment. And at the same time this happened yesterday, it goes over 4%, hit our first target of 410. So that didn't make sense. You also have the situation with oil. Obviously we're in the winter time, and therefore there's a little bit less travel and so forth. But with what's going on in the Middle East, who in their right mind would be selling oil? First of all, there are a lot of fundamental reasons for it, as well as some astrological reasons. So that's it's a good trade that we've been doing quite often from the 72 level. And it's going to hit 80 probably. It belongs at 80. but it's very frightening what's going on, but it certainly doesn't suggest no inflation. And the truth is, of course, we have both inflation and deflation. So what's going on is the market was able to do it. Very often before it turns, they get rid of the people in one direction. They'll get rid of the weak shorts, which doesn't mean the market won't continue. But here we are at 4,800. What's the upside target for it? 5,000? 5,200? And yet what's the downside target is certainly 4,000, even less. So the risk reward is not appropriate. The question is, what's the probability? And we can deal with that. So the markets are just deciding what they are. And if I can give a good example of that, when I first started studying, I had a mentor who told me this is the way the market is. They'll just concentrate on one thing that day. So one day it's the bonds, one day it's oil, one day it's inflation, and so forth. But I learned a second thing. And that is, not only is the market like this, it's like this. Because some days, let's say there's a news report on Friday that everybody thinks is terrible. The market, people could be buying the market all of Thursday and then get out at the end of the day, even though they know that they believe, anyway, the market's going to come way down the next day. So you've got to look, you've got this and you've got this. So it's a total disconnect to what the scenario is. A lot of, shall we say, poor information or misinformation when it comes to the market. So there's plenty of money around. Depending on if you think the dollar is going to get a lot weaker, then being in the market is good because the stocks will go up, even though they'll be worth less on a global level. So but this is just trading nonsense. As you know and I know, we've been traders a long time, and the markets are different. You've got to get your profits very quickly, but on the other hand, there are reasons for the market, and I can give you twice as many reasons for the market to go down, but that doesn't matter. The question is, how are people betting, and what are they doing with their money, and what's the money flow? So there are going to be days it's up. However, next week, for example, it's more likely to be down, and we're going to be short by close. Right. So there are days it's up, and remember, we've been down a couple of days, so people were taking their profits, and they, et cetera, et cetera. Notice also that most of the profits were in the AI area. And this is because it has nothing to do with reality. What are all the computer companies doing? They're basically firing people, 5%, 10%. That's not a sign that's good. I mean, the market's rewarding them for cutting their expenses, but that doesn't suggest a good situation. Now, they're less affected by the price of oil. They're less affected by the price of money because it's all make-believe. AI, I'm not saying, I don't mean AI is make-believe, but it's effectively it's unlimited upside. So you can buy that, and of course it historically did, certainly last year. But I don't consider it significant. There are some factors such as the presidential year that suggest will go up, but basically the markets can be up and down different days. You either day trade it or you take longer term positions. But I don't think it means anything when oil is up and the bonds are up that the market's up. So that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, yeah. Well, that was the thing. So yesterday we started off and we were over 100 points down, and then I know we've seen these things, right? I mean, we talked about it last time, but it's good to cover it again. I mean, it's a different market these days than it used to be. We have a very much controlled market. Yes. And it was interesting actually because when Trump was president, we saw a number of times when we had 1,000-point moves, right? We had 1,000 on the Dow, and man, they have not let that happen one way or the other in the last 3 years. No, right? I mean, max is like 300 that I've seen, maybe 350.
It's a different market, and it's different people playing the game.
Yeah. Well, good or bad or whatever, but you have to trade. If you're going to trade or if you're going to put your money in there, you need to be aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, really interesting. So when we see the big move like we did yesterday, did you think that there was well, first of all, did you think that would happen? And then second of all, do you think that there was a bunch of money that just got moved in there from the power?
I think the markets go up and down every day. It doesn't really matter. You have to remember 2/3 of the time markets go up. But they hit some technical support levels, and that's usually the place where you want to buy. It didn't want to break down, but basically you had the 4750 on the S&P sort of pivot area. Now we're playing with the 4800, seeing if they can hold it. This is a very big technical game. It's computers playing technical points, first, second, and third resistance. It's actually easy. But did I expect it? No, but I didn't not expect it. We had no view of the market yesterday. Outside of when the market's up, we like to sell it. And when the commodities are down, we like to buy it. That's been our thing most of the year. It's been pretty successful, and it still is.
Did you close out your Bitcoin position yet?
Nope. No, it's 48K, but we almost did it 42. We don't do it totally. It's testing the 40 level, at which point now we'll have stops at 42. Okay.
That's a nice trade.
Yeah, it was a good trade, but we had to do it on the second part. We didn't do 48 when it was going up to 50. We took it after it failed the 50 and it came on its way down. So it was less risk. Because again, with Bitcoin, you can move 1,000, 2,000 points in a day. You got to be very careful.
You really do. And it'll leave you behind. It'll leave you in the dust one way or the other.
But you can make a living doing it either way, whether you're a bull or a bear. It doesn't make a difference. You can just make a lot of money. It's not my game, but we play it occasionally. We've only played it once. So.
Interesting.
So would you like to hear what I have?
Yeah, I was about to say, I know I have some slides over here. Let me share that. And let's see here. Talk about that, because this is always
I'll let you do the work.
Right? Will let me do it again, or are you going to do it?
I'll let you do it again. I'm technically challenged when it comes to, even though I was one of the first Apple dealers when it was Apple who? Computerized the Board of Ed, ATT, Federal Reserve Bank, but I'm way out of date. Oh, this is the first fantasy. Anyone who thinks there's no recession and no inflation obviously doesn't eat very much or buy things. Now, of course, there are pockets now of things going down. And when we call recession, I don't really care if it's plus 0.001 or minus 0.001. The point is we've had a 17% increase approximately since Biden has been president. And even if they succeed, which I don't think they will, in keeping it to 2%, that's 2% above what it was last year. So you have people, for example, like airline pilots who got 40% increases and they're in very good shape. And you've got a lot of people which is about 70% at least of the population that's being squeezed. So we don't think it's true that everything is Goldilocks.
Yes, well, we live it, right?
So this is what we had last year, and we're having it now. I'm not going to show you a slide, but I have a slide on our 2024 webinar, which I recommend everything to on our website, is that I can give you 15 reasons why the market's going to go down, and with significant risk. And you had Jamie Dimon just recently saying that there are tremendous financial risks to the markets as well as geopolitical risks. Now, there always are. The question is how probable it is, and what's the risk reward? And the risk reward is relatively poor for most stocks. There isn't much upside compared to the potential downside. I like to worry, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay. Now, every day, well, not every day, most days we do some tweets for our thing. And the important part, we are, as of last Friday, on yellow alert till the end of the month. A yellow alert is not a red alert. We only do these about 4 times a year, 5 times a year. It means for the whole month, there's significant risk. Just like think of the light that's yellow. You got to be a little cautious. So what we found very interesting is that bonds, for example, hit our first target. Our target here is about 440. The last time we had it as well, which was about 5, I think it was 510 or 480, it depends. So basically we're going to get out around 440 and then eventually go reverse it. But at the moment, it's growing because there's residual sticky inflation. And I was just speaking to a company that does a manufacturing company, and they're having all the trouble because of what's happening in the Red Sea, what's happening in Panama, in terms of the canals. I mean, it's a tremendous extra cost to bring goods into the United States. It's an extra 10 days. So that has just started. And that's going to be, that's basically going to add cost to everything. So that's number one. The second is oil. Clearly, if you look at the fundamentals, and you can argue it either way, because sometimes it's 500,000 barrels a day or 1 million, which is not much. It's less than 1%. They can focus either way they want. But look what's going on in the Middle East. What would be the risk of certain acts? And certainly, since I believe it belongs at $80, I want to be long, but it's constantly going back and forth. It's a trading thing. And roughly, we've been doing it 72 and less, taking $1, saying thank you, or holding it, and then doing it again the next day. So those are the two significant things from yesterday. Gold, of course, had its first test of 2000. But gold, we're going to talk about significant because we started about that before, and I thought we would talk about gold because I know you like that. So that was a significant part, and we're suggesting strong caution through January. Seasonality, which is one thing. If you notice the colored lines, that in years that there's a presidential election, going down the first quarter through the March equinox, basically is usually down. Not always. There are times look at it when it goes straight up, but in presidential years, which is what we have, and there's a lot of positiveness to it as well, the first quarter is the highest risk quarter. And many people, if you listened to them last year, felt that Q1 could be very challenged, even if they were bullish from Q2 on. I mean, that's our big decision to make. If when the markets go where we think they are, do we hold it or reverse? But in any case, there's seasonality that suggests markets have a tendency to go down in presidential years.
Interesting. And it's supported, of course, by the charts.
Yeah. So what we started to talk about, is it a good time to invest in gold and silver? And when we say invest, we're not saying trading, we're saying invest. And investments can be either as a pure investment or as a hedge, because traditionally the Swiss, for example, would put 5% of their portfolio into gold as a portfolio hedge versus other hedges you could put in, such as buying puts, writing calls, etc. So when is a good time is a question that we always like to ask. And we have conflicting issues here because, as I mentioned briefly last time, one of the main reasons everybody invests in gold, who do invest in gold, is for inflation. And yet every time there's some inflation, the computer algos are selling gold. Now, this is going to be ending, as we'll see shortly, by May or June, if not sooner. So gold and silver are highly undervalued stocks. If the physicals, gold and silver, drop 10%, they're still highly undervalued. So that's a very important thing to realize, because I'm a cosmic value person. I like to buy things that are undervalued. That's how I was trained, at a good time. So basically, it's something to consider. Okay, so we're going to just briefly cover the first 5 points because there's a lot more we want to cover in gold. And the other thing I wanted to say about that is, think about gold and silver companies that are producing as manufacturers. They basically, whatever they manufacture, they can sell. They can't control the price, but you should run them the same way you run a manufacturing company. And that's how we analyze the value of a producing gold company, because everything they manufacture, they sell, even though they can't control the price. Okay, it's cheap geopolitical crisis insurance. We talked about that. If you cannot buy the US dollar, it's a good hedge. And by the way, it's been much better if you were not in the US dollar. If you had euros, if you had Venezuelan dollars, if you were in Argentina, etc., you got extra benefit from buying gold. It's an alternative, and we believe when there is going to be a gold crypto, that it will go much higher than it is now. But the main thing is, if you have a good gold stock and gold is up, you'll make more money. If it's a bad stock and it goes down, you're going to lose more money. So stocks and gold don't trade the same way. I think gold's worth a little under 2,000. This is constantly going up. So at the moment, we think it's a little bit overvalued, but gold can be overvalued or undervalued for years at a time. Right now, we consider it a little bit overvalued, whereas silver is basically undervalued. Actually, we're changing that to about $25. So there's a lot of resistance at certain points. With gold, it's at 2,100. With silver, it's at 25, 26. But silver happens to be more undervalued the gold. But the problem with silver is it has two drivers, one of which is as a monetary metal, the second as an economic metal. And obviously we're in a recession. Take a look at China, has a bad first quarter, not as bad afterwards. So you have a situation where the economies are not growing. And most of the growth they're talking about is inflation, by the way. We could talk about why statistics aren't what they're supposed to be. But the point is, silver is more undervalued. If gold moves up, silver will move up more. If gold goes down, silver will go down more. Think the relationship of NASDAQ to S&P, sort of that same sort of beta.
Interesting. It is interesting that silver has just, the price has been kept so down. It's crazy to me. I still think that's one of the best moves people can make there.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so there's a couple of central banks now have bought more gold. And of course, there's a lot of buying there. I remember they were selling at the bottom around 2000, like the British. I think they sold around 300-400 or less. And of course, it was a very bad trade. If we could get a stable coin from the World Economic Council, then I think we can easily get much higher. The issue is going to be what's happening with the BRIC countries. If they do something, it's certainly going to be highly based gold. And then we can see gold easily at 4,000. And what's also interesting, while in Europe, let's say Germany, Switzerland, and in Asia, India, China, gold has always been very popular. Now in the US, many people are starting to buy gold. You see it in Costco, you see it in Walmart, that there's a US retail interest, which was not there years ago. Even when gold and silver were very popular, it was never widespread. We think that's going to continue.
Yeah, that's everyone's talking about it. Well, when you go to the grocery store, like we say, and everything is, 30% or more expensive, you start to wonder what's going on.
Absolutely. So the question is, when is precious metals a favorite sector? It's beginning. We believe it's by or before June 24. Why do we say that? First, it has some positive astro. Secondly, we don't think the Fed is going to do more than 2 to 3 times. The Fed, and by the way, we were totally correct that the Fed would not move last year. And it was a great trade on bonds. We believe there'll be 2 to 3 moves, probably. And the first one is more likely going to be in May. But in any case, when they signal that, then the algos will stop shorting gold because of inflation, although there will be inflation, and then gold will move up. When 2,000 floor is established, and other people say when 2,100 becomes the floor, because we had that new top. Once it goes there, then we can get to 23, 22, whatever number. When there's a gold stable coin, which is not quite here, there are examples of it, but it's not here. And of course, with a geopolitical crisis, we would go up to $100, $150 tomorrow if certain things happen, which we certainly, while we're gold investors, we don't want those things to happen. It's not the way we want to make our money. But certainly with a crisis, and also when the algos change their mind. So we think it's going to become increasingly popular as we get to May or June. So my general thoughts for the group is 3 things. One is that there are great physical and economic challenges in 2024. It's not what me worried. So we recommend caution for investments. Now, that doesn't mean you can't trade. That doesn't do momentum. That doesn't mean you can't take high risk. But we recommend do so cautiously. Secondarily, while indexes did surprisingly well last year, primarily because of 7 stocks, in general, there are winners and losers. And there are a lot of stocks that were very favored last year, like Moderna, et cetera. They're in the toilet. And there are others that are going to do very well. So you can be a stock picker or ETF. And most important, if you are a trader, it's trader's paradise. You can make your living. Like I could have made a living this month in oil alone trading and not worked for the next 11 months. It's just that type of market. So be cautious. And number 2, I forgot the most important thing. Have resources if the case that markets panic. If you in October 2022, which we called, did not have money to buy then because you were tied up then and you lost that opportunity, then you get yourself some cash or whatever, should this happen, which it may not, but could, that you can buy then. Okay, those are my guiding thoughts. Okay.
There we go.
Disclaimer, because we're going to talk about 2 stocks that we're involved in. So you can go read my disclaimer. Generally speaking, when I talk about specific stocks as opposed to sectors, I'm in it, have a relationship in it, whatever. And of course, always do your own due diligence, as you all, I'm sure you have disclaimers on this website, or use a professional if you don't have that capability. So I'm going to talk about 2 companies we like.
Awesome. And guys, make sure to give Henry a follow on Twitter, or now it's known as X, at TA Fund. And of course, on Telegram, you can see right here, TA Fund YouTube channel, Henry Weingarten. and the website is A Fund right there. Let me
Okay.
go on. Here we go.
Okay. Now, you look at this chart, you say, my, it's terrible, right? You say, my God, that thing's going down. Now, we like silver. This is one of our 4 actually favorite stocks. In 2022, we made it our desert island pick. What is a desert for 2024? If you can't see this here, but if you look at it this beginning of the year in 2022, within a few days, it went up a little over 10%, and then down. So if you were a trader, you either made quick 10% or you got broke on and even. But we said, this is desert island. I'm away from everything for 2 years. I'm coming back in December 2024. I don't want to think about markets. I'm having my coconuts and my beautiful hula dances with me. And it has nothing to do with markets. So this stock is one of the best companies we have. I recommend taking a look at it. Max Silver, it's $1 billion company, more or less. So it's there. And we recently, we could listen to it. It's 2 reasons. One, they're generating income. And secondarily, they have 2 places where we think they're going to have big discoveries. So you make your big money. And our target, as many people, is a good double. Now, by the way, we did some buying much higher than this. We did some at 13, some at 10. I think it's about 9 and change now. But we think our target is close to a double here or more for the end of the year. But that's our target, our views. It's not the only should own, but it's one you may want to consider and worth researching. If you have no gold or silver stocks, this is one I think you should consider. And again, put it on their websites, read about it. So that's one we like.
Mag Silver, and that is on your website.
It's on our website, but it's everywhere. Now, this is a real speculative play. This is a micro cap. It's going for less than 10 cents. Also a terrible thing. Last year, we gave one stock that year we gave 5, but last year we only gave 1, and it went up 500% in 2 weeks from the time we gave it, and then it came back down again. When you're dealing with a micro cap stock, they go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So you got to know that if you're playing it, 2 things. Take some profits if it doubles or triples. Secondarily, this is speculative capital. It's money that you can afford to lose without changing your lifestyle. And let's say you put $250 in this as an example. Then what you do is imagine $250 bills on your lawn, take a match, burn it, see how you feel. If you can live with that, then you can buy a stock like this. Because the way we look at microcaps used to be that they're non-expiring options. You know, the stock is about 5 cents now. How much can you lose? 5 cents. Well, you're probably losing that more than anything. Don't put all your money in this, of course. You don't sell your house to put it in. But I made a mistake. It wasn't a non-expiring option. They're long-dated options. Some of them did go to 0. So when you have a stock that can go up 5, 10, 20 times, don't think it only goes up. Sometimes it goes down. The reason we like this stock is the person who did it, and he's presented for us several times, 3 times has made serious money, billions of dollars for his people. He's got his own money in the game, very heavily. And when my analyst took a look at it, he said this was highly, highly undervalued. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to make it. Again, you have to research it, do it, see if it's appropriate for you. And what it may not be, you may not want to take gambles. But I have, unlike the previous one, which is generating income, is going to be around for sure in 10 years. This one may or may not. But it's one that I finally got, after listening to for 2 years, I said, I've got to get involved. So it's an interesting stock, Goldterra. Take a look. It's highly, highly speculative because they, unlike the silver stock, which owns silver, they have some gold there. Excuse me, they have gold there. Is whether there's enough to be profitable. I believe it is. It's got good management, good location, blah, blah, blah. Just take a look at it. And if you like to play a little bit, fine. If not, just watch it. That's okay. So those are 2 examples of some stocks that we're involved in that you may like to look. And then one last thing. We, a couple of years ago, were very big on China. Obviously, China is now ABC, anything but China, although that may change very soon. Then we were involved in India, which was at record levels, and now involved in Canada. Why are we involved in Canada up to 2025? This is the astrology, of course. There's a cheap currency. It's very cheap. When I go to Canada and I'm spending $100, like in the US, it's only 70. So first of all, for manufacturing, et cetera, They have tremendous resources, not just water, but they obviously have gold, silver, copper, you name it. So with the Inflation Reduction Act for mining, which we do a lot of, and battery sectors, it's a no-brainer. Again, depending on your view, because some of these companies will make money, some won't, but it's something to look at. So our favorite company, which was years ago in terms of where in the world we want to overweight, not everything, obviously, but we want to overweight, which was China, which was India, is now Canada for the next year and a half. And it's also much closer, so we can visit the companies.
Well, that's pretty interesting. You know, I'll tell you, I've been going to Canada for a long time. When I was at the Olympic Training Center there in New York, Lake Placid, New York, gosh, decades ago. And before I was 21, we used to, you know, it was a 2-hour drive to go into Montreal, and we could, you know, have some beers and
It's a lot of fun there. Good food and fun.
Montreal is a beautiful place, really beautiful place.
Most of Canada is beautiful.
Most Canada is beautiful.
Friendly, and very friendly.
That currency has kept that $70 to $75 range for quite a while.
Cheap.
And it's close for us.
Pardon me?
And it's close for us.
It's also safe. It's also
it's not
safer.
like China that's way over, and it's also safe.
You're right. Definitely.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, Henry, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I love it. You know, so very insightful things that we have going on. I also appreciate the picks. I think the stock picks, those would be good. People are going to like that a lot. And yeah, I look forward to having you on again. Just real quick again for the audience, your website and your X handle. How do people get a hold of you?
Sure, it's AFund for Astrologers Fund, AFUND.com. Our YouTube account is Henry Weingartner or the Astrologers Fund. And our Twitter account is TAFund. And if you want to use our Telegram, it's capital T AFund. So you can find a lot of good free information.
TA Fund. Check him out, Henry Weingarten. He's also very accessible on LinkedIn. That's it's where we connect as well. Thank you, Henry.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers. All right, well, folks, there we go. It's our first week that we're just finishing up now of the Porter Brothers Show. Our new slot here as well at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, as well as 11 a.m. on your TV in Houston, Texas area, as well as other cities and Louisiana as well. Thank you for joining in. We really appreciate it. We love doing this type of stuff. We'll have Henry on again. We as well have been talking to a couple of the other players. We have the Komodo wallet guys queued up to join us. Make sure to tune in on your local TV station in Texas and Louisiana at 5 a.m. Monday through Friday for Money in the Morning, Impact Live Money in the Morning, and 11 a.m. on your local stations there in Texas and Louisiana, Monday through Friday. We have the 2 shows. Thank you so much. And we are signing off. See you on Monday.